Hey everybody, welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for another YBMcast powered by Game 7 Baseball. Hey, look, if you're looking for a great tournament, Tennessee, Missouri, Illinois, Game 7 Baseball is your place. Dave and Dave doing it right for, I don't know, a long time now. They get the job done, got some great venues. Get your team registered. Go to game7baseball.com. They got leagues going on right now over at Grand Slam Park. They got a summer league coming up as well. So if you want to get into a league, go check out the website. Again, game7baseball.com. Everything you need for a great weekend of baseball. All right, folks. We appreciate you joining us. We've got Coach Russ Hill from Fort Zumwalt East. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, Brian.
I appreciate you coming in. I know you're, I mean, we got him right off the practice field here, folks.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't even get to clean up. That's all right.
And I'm going half homer. I got to take care of my boys up here.
Do what you got to do.
I'm going half homer. Both my kids graduated from Fort Zumwalt East, and my son did play for Coach Hill.
Yeah.
You know, so we're Zumwalt East fans. There you go. That's just it right there.
It is what it is.
And but we're going to talk. Hey, you're off to a big start.
Yeah, the boys are playing well. You
Yeah.
know, I can't. I mean, they are. I was pleasantly surprised. You know, they're doing well.
Very good. And, you know, as we're talking rankings, we've been talking, we got Kevin Mulder coming on a weekly basis. We're talking rankings and whatnot. Some great stuff, great baseball over the last week with some tournaments. He's got you in his on deck. He's got you down there with Kickapoo and Rockbridge and Blue Springs. I mean, that's some good baseball. And, you know, we'll talk some classification here in just a minute.
Yeah.
You know, but most of the schools that he's got in that top,
Yeah, Class 6.
that's all Class 6. And you're right in there punching with the big boys. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, we you know, the first year with that Class 6, so it's a little bit of a separator for us. Actually, I shouldn't even say little. It's a big separator. You know, being in that second tier, you know, in Class 5, knowing that, you know, the big boys are up in Class 6, and you know, it's you know, we used to compete pretty well early on, you know, and actually about the time Justin left, we had a few years stretch there where we were struggling. We were low.
Because that was 2016, his last year.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then like 17, 18, 19, we were, and I shouldn't say that. 19 we did okay there.
Right.
But you know that we struggled a little bit, and you know we just didn't quite have the depth to compete with those, you know, 2,000 plus, you know, schools. So this Class 6 has been helpful for sure. Looking down the road at the districts, and you know, of course, you'll, I'm sure, talk about that. But yeah, you know, most of those schools are going to be, you know, the big dogs, and it's good to get a little recognition. I mean, it's.
And you know what, Coach, talking about depth, I think that's, you know, as you bring that subject up, we talked with Coach Goff last week and Coach Perkins, and both of them talked about that. And Coach Goff especially, he said, you know, they went to that tournament in Columbia, did very well. They won it.
Sure.
But he said, man, that's really going to test our depth. And he says, but I've got 4 guys that I really trust in.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that makes a huge difference, doesn't it?
Absolutely. You know, yeah, they're rolling like something crazy. You know, Coach Goff's got them going for sure. But you know, I talked to him early about depth, and you know, and he said, you know, I got a couple guys on JV. You know, or what did he say? He said, I got a couple guys throwing, you know, low to mid 80s or something. And he paused and he goes, on JV. I was like, wait, what? Did I hear that right? Or, you know, and he goes, I have a ton of arms that are just chomping at the bit to get innings. And he knew, you know, right away that he had the depth for sure.
Yeah.
But, you know, like you said, that Columbia deal, that's 3 games in a day. And, you know, so that does test you pretty quick. But, you know, he's got them rolling, that's for sure.
And you got a few arms, and you have one of the top arms in the state, and if not the country, in Austin Young.
He's he finally, I feel like finally is maybe a stretch word, but started getting some notoriety last year with, you know, with a good trending up with his summer and getting the name out, and his stuff was out there, and started getting invited to places through, his summer club does a good job, and but yeah, he's been fun to watch, man. He's not a thrower, he's a pitcher, and when you see those dudes have command of 3 pitches, it's electric. I know we do goals every week, and every Monday morning we set our goals for the week, and one of his particular goals a couple weeks ago was have a certain amount of number for his first pitch strikes, and he had like 81% first pitch strikes against, and I mean he's just lights out. It was a couple weeks ago at not Liberty. I think Liberty didn't quite have the first pitch strike percentage up there. Must have been Zumwalt North, but he was on. And he's done a good job for us Tuesdays.
Yeah.
You're right. We do have some other guys that have been stepping up. I didn't really know my Wednesday, because we do conference on Tuesday, Wednesday, back to back.
Sure.
I didn't really know who my Wednesday guy was going to be.
Right.
It was pretty easy to figure out who the Tuesday guy was. I mean, AY does his thing.
Right.
But Nathan Manus got a couple, senior lefty who's got some stuff. Gave him a shot, and then we gave a junior Justin Smith a shot, and both of them did well. And then there's even a senior PO, a little guy that we have a lot of faith in, named Colin Hampton, and he's missing barrels, doing the best he can, and he's competing for us. So yeah, I mean, we do have a little bit of depth.
Yeah,
I would say,
but it's showing because I mean. You've won, I think it was, I looked over here, I was looking at STL today.
Yeah.
And they've got you basically number 12 in the metro area. They rank metro area. Mm-hmm. And again, you're up there with big schools. I don't see any other class 5s in here in this respect. So I think you're showing well, and I think people are recognizing, and I'm glad for you that way because I think that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well. But you got some kids, that I think that's right. You got 9 wins in a row.
Yeah, the boys put a few together. We had that, we started off solid with the St. Charles West tournament, which is a good, nice little tournament to start off, get 4 games in. We won a couple, lost a couple. We're still trying to figure ourselves out. Like I said in the preseason, I'm still trying to figure these guys out, not having the last season.
Right.
So, and then, man, they just kind of kept the ball, one after the other, and that's that's.
And you got some really good wins.
Yeah, there's I would say there's a couple fitting.
Just this last week, we're going to talk about this. We were talking before we came on about Liberty.
Right.
And Liberty is a good team, quality team. You didn't face Victor Quinn, and kind of give us a little bit. We were talking beforehand, and you kind of knew you weren't going to see him there because you thought, maybe he's looking at his district and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, it was. We had heard a rumor that he was going to throw that Saturday before against Rockbridge, and then Friday at Timberland, and I was bummed out for a couple reasons. Because everybody that had been asking me, hey, when can we watch you play? And I said, I'll tell you what. I even told you guys here on this table.
Right.
I said April 13th on a Tuesday at Liberty. It's going to be a great game, a complete. It'll be packed and electric, but it'll be a great matchup. Unfortunately, they didn't play that Rockbridge game on Saturday, and coach, they just decided to pitch him on. Timberland on that Friday district game,
right?
Which I don't blame the Liberty coach, Coach Clemens. Whatever he values, and
that's right. He's got to make those decisions in his best interest,
right? And I can't really fault it because if you get a higher seed in at the end of the season for a district, then that's just going to make your road to playoffs start a little easier. But unfortunately and fortunately, it's kind of a double-edged sword. We didn't see him. I know
you wanted to, right?
Sure. I wanted the boys to compete, and I wanted to see because I know he's a good pitcher. I know he's got crazy velo and good stuff, but it just didn't happen. And
I like that thought process there because as a coach, you've got some kids, and you want to give them that opportunity. Hey, Victor Quinn is up there in rankings, national rankings,
absolutely,
and to give your boys an opportunity.
To see that major league stuff. I mean, that kid's got an arm.
Yes, and I think that's always that challenge, isn't it?
Sure. Sure. Yeah. I think, would we have been, mesmerized by the velo? Sure. I was excited to see, but I wanted to get that, that opportunity for the boys, but it didn't happen. It's okay. It's no big deal. We lucky enough to take care of business, and, AY was doing his thing, and, then next couple days, or the next day after that, a couple guys were on, and yeah, it just worked out in our favor.
Been around it long enough, played everything. It's harder than heck to win 9 games in a row.
Definitely.
You've got your district slate is rolling out here as you're finishing up the season.
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting pretty good for that high district seed. What are you telling your boys? What are you talking to them about?
Yeah, honestly, I'm just telling them to keep going. Don't get caught up in that. To be honest, the being on the bubble or ranked. I think Missouri Baseball High School Coach Association, they have a classification top 10 breakdown. Mm-hmm. So they have Class 6, who they think, top 10 guys in the state of Class 6, then top 10 of State 5 or Class 5, and top 10 of, they have it broken down. And same thing. We're on the top 10 of that, and it's like I kind of tell them, it really, without being ignorant or rude or mean, like it doesn't mean much, but it's good for them to kind of get a little bit.
Perkins sat here and said the same thing.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. It doesn't really mean much, from a coach's perspective. It's,
Right.
It's neat for the boys to kind of get a little notoriety, but I think up until then, I think we've won East. I think we've only put together 5 wins in a row. Twice, in the longevity of East, and when we got that at 6 and 7, and so I just tell them keep going. Really, I'm just kind of staying out of their way. Really, I mean, they're playing well, so we're just going to keep going.
Now, you did mention, I'm going to come back to this because you did mention you said at the beginning, because and everybody's had to deal with this. You come back. A lot of these kids you don't know,
right?
Seen them for the first time, and you said you've really had to coach harder. Kind of give us that perspective there.
Yeah. So, like I said at preseason, it was a little. You guys had me in for that. Like at the very end, those guys don't know me either. And while I can sit here and say, and coaches can sit here and say, we don't know our players. Right. It depends. Some coaches had a lot of sophomores on varsity 2 years ago. We didn't, we just had a 1 or 2, and for us to say we don't know our players, that's easy, that's obvious, that's a given. But like I said, in a different light, they didn't know me from Adam, like in a day-to-day coaching.
Absolutely.
And I'm not the
they might have seen
greatest,
you in the hall, right?
Right. But we're not the greatest coaches, but we care, and we do our best. And this year, it's like I've never coached so hard in all the years, I think, because they just simply don't know a lot of things. And I don't mean that rudely, and I don't mean that like ignorantly, like, my guys are dumb and I've coached them. No, it's like something as simple as a system. Like, hey, this is what we do, right. I'm talking like how to roll up a tarp, to, hey, this is what we do on 1st and 3rd, and this is our coverage, like everything. So, it's been revitalizing for me. It's crazy, I still have a passion to do it, but like this year it's been like, it's just re-energized me on like, man, every game it seemed like something would come up and be like, man, we haven't covered that yet. And I'm looking at my assistant, Coach Lotzenheiser, he's like, no. So we got to go over that again. Okay, so add that to the list for tomorrow, and then something else would happen.
Right.
And there's nothing that has been taken for granted as far as from our angle on teaching, anything and everything. I could tell you a list a mile long, but it's been revitalized. It's been energizing to know that all right, we got to coach them up on everything, in a good way.
No, I understand.
You know
great.
what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's just, so it's been fun, there's always stuff to work on every year, but it seems like it's
But they
been more
missed
this
a
year.
whole year in
Right.
your program.
Right.
And that, to me, I think that was a very interesting take.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's been, and like you said, everybody's in that same boat, coaching wise, but, the boys have bought in. The culture we have going now, it's phenomenal. I'm very blessed with where they're going, what they're doing, how they're doing it. You know, the boys are, you know, like I said, they're there for each other. You know,
And to that end as well, Coach, you've had Coach Lautzenheiser,
yep, Coach Weiber,
Weiber, Varner.
yeah.
Those guys have been with you pretty much since the beginning, right?
Yeah, I'm very blessed with that. Those guys do a great job, and
So that makes it a little easier with this break too, because you got guys that understand and know the system, know what your expectation level is. So that does help out a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and I'm blessed with those guys too. You know, like those guys are pretty energetic. My old college coach. It's funny, Coach Tommy Broyles was. That's funny. I just thought of that. He brought his guy over, his son over to just do a little work, and he said, "Hey, I saw your lower level coaches over there. They were pretty energized, and man, they're doing good things." And I said, "Well, thanks. I'll tell them the compliment." So I'm pretty blessed with those guys.
Yeah, we had a great conversation. We had Tommy on the show here back in the summer. He's a good dude. I like Tommy.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Yeah,
it was fun.
Yeah.
So we're looking at districts and whatnot. Who you uncomfortable with? Who you comfortable? I mean, I guess that's a bad question, but
yeah,
let's just put it out. Who do you fear?
I mean, maybe no one in all of them. I don't know. Like it's kind of like a two-headed monster answer there. I guess the way, I mean, really nobody. That's how you got to play the game and coach the game.
Right.
But understand baseball, man. Anything can happen. So you got to know that.
Who's got the arms in your district to compete there in districts?
Lutheran St. Charles. They have some guys. They're they're always good. Like we bang with them all the time. Our neighbors right there. Zumwalt South, they always have guys. I know, they'll maybe tell you that they're not having as good a year, but I mean, they are. I don't know. They always have arms. St. Charles, that Sam Myers kid at St. Charles. I mean, that kid's good. And I don't really know much about Hannibal. And
that was surprising that they got thrown into that.
Yeah.
That kind of blew me away that they threw Hannibal into that district.
Yeah, that far out. I guess when you go, that usually there's 16 districts in the state, but they have shrunk it down to 8 districts, and they took out the sectional game. So now the district, there's only 8 of them, so then they got, of course, I guess, spread out geographically.
Right.
So I don't, I don't know.
It's a smaller area up there, smaller schools, and Hannibal, in that class 5 has to go somewhere. I guess.
Right. So, yeah.
But I thought that was interesting, it kind of Hannibal. So you're looking at, I think South, definitely.
Yep. They're going to be good. They're good, yeah.
That's always a tough out, isn't it?
Oh, gosh, yeah. Yeah, they, that's a school rival, but they always seem to have our number. And I'm not running from that or hiding from that. And the boys, I tell them, I said, it's our turn, so let's get after it, so.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. You got to have a little bit of that in you. I mean, you got to have, and here's the other thing too, playing good quality competition always helps. And that's something we've discussed. I was talking with Coach Goff last Wednesday.
Yep.
He said, that's why we're going to this tournament in Columbia. He said, because, it's going to harden us. It'll steel us, for that district. We've been in those situations. We know what it feels like. We know. And I think that's the same thing. You got to go and play that competition and feel that pressure a little bit, yeah?
Yeah, I would agree, and Eric, Golf always, him and Perkins, man, they're always playing maximum amount of games in the toughest competition, traveling on the other side of the state. So I tip my cap to those guys. We don't play as tough a schedule as those guys, but, there's a balance, so I think it does help, for sure.
Right.
It definitely, like you said, it's gonna help in the long run for sure.
Well, for instance, though, you're not. I mean, once you got South this week.
It's a big week. It's a big week for sure.
You got South, and then it looks like you're playing a tournament right after that with Hazelwood West.
Yeah, Seckman's in that. That Gateway Legacy's in that. It's a Zumwalt North tournament. Priory's in that. So.
What are you expecting out of that? It's pretty good stuff.
Doubleheader on Friday, so yeah, I mean that's always it's a fun 8-team tournament for us to get 3 games in. Yeah, I mean it's kind of I haven't really looked too much into Hazelwood West yet, or Priory for that matter, or even the other side, but honestly. South is our focus this week, and so we're really, I mean, yeah, for sure. Like, the boys know we have 5 games this week, or at least scheduled. I don't know.
But I get to look ahead because I'm looking, you got Hal North, and you got St. Charles, Lutheran St. Charles. So and then you got Dominic again, who beat you up pretty good at the beginning of the season. Yeah. So you got some.
Parker Central's pretty good. They're, they're having a good year.
You're not, so it's going to steal you pretty good going into districts.
It will for sure. I tell the guys each Monday when we have our meeting in the morning for goals and stuff about how many games and who we have, and we go over that. And this week it was like, hey, we have 5 scheduled games. Weather doesn't look good, but we'll see if we can get those in. And they're just, they're just hyper focused on South. They want their number up on the wall. They want 2021 conference, and they're doing everything they can to get it.
Very good. I love to hear that. That's awesome. Coach, thank you very much for your time, man.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, Brian.
No, I really we appreciate honest. And I've said this to all of you guys, that you take your time to come and sit down and talk some baseball with us and the fans. I really think that's great. I think that shows a lot of commitment to the community and what you guys are putting into the programs. I really do. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
So, hey, everybody, hope you enjoyed it. If you liked what we're doing here, hit the subscribe button. Hit that dinger, because that's what we do around here. We hit dingers. Get your notifications. Everybody, all you pitchers, keep throwing strikes. You hitters, hit them where they ain't. Everybody have a great day in the Lord, and we'll see you next time.